Blog Talk Radio.
All Pro Media Group Radio showcases professionals on a daily basis. Be inspired and listen to experts from around the globe share their accomplishments with you. APMG Radio, success at its finest.
You're listening to APMG Radio. I'm Lucy, and today my special guest is Henry Halliday. Henry, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Glad to be here.
Great having you back on. So, Henry, on our last show, we started speaking about medical technology, and I know that we have a few areas that we need to finish discussing. So, tell us a little bit about what we'll be talking on the first part of the show.
Okay. Well, we've got some topics that will deserve some attention. Medical technology is a very wide field with a lot of interest, but we'll talk a little bit about some of the technologies involved with our genes and our DNA. I want to talk a little bit about a project the government now has started in brain mapping, and then we'll go into some of the other details of some surgical tools, mobile aids, and communication that has to do with medical technology.
Brilliant. So let's go more into that medical technology and what we need to finish up on from last week's show.
Okay. One of the areas that deserves a lot of attention because of advances that are made, and that has to do with selective genetic targeting. What do I mean by that? Well, there are certain diseases that are apparently at this point in time make people more susceptible than others, and we need to understand better what portions of our DNA are affected by defects or changes that are non-desirable, and DNA gene analysis and mapping has given us a good handle on how to target this, especially through use of gene therapy on mice and similar creatures. We can do it without affecting people directly. This has turned out to be very useful for inherited diseases, that we can actually go in and replace elements of our DNA and then grow elements that are healthy and try to do a replacement in people. This has only just started, and we have a lot to understand about it and how far can we go both morally and physically. This also is along the line of tailored medicine, where rather than having a single medicine that is used to treat generic pain, we can now look at the possibility of there are elements of our structure that is susceptible in our DNA, and thus try to understand what it takes to replace weakened strains, for instance, or those things that make us more susceptible to various cancers. And we're only beginning to understand what this is possible. Also, we can use robotic probes in the form of a pill that we swallow, and it sort of analyzes our system on the fly as we go. This is another area where cameras to see what's happening on our insides are proving more valuable, especially when we do heart surgery, to have cameras that actually watch what that process is. So these are things that technology is moving along as we're able to shrink electronics down to a point where it can fit inside of a pill capsule. We have talked a little bit about in the past about 3D printing, not only just printing circuits and impassive elements, but actually doing construction in a bionic template of, say, bone structure and cartilage, where we can actually have a structure that is of a biological nature as opposed to just a mineral or plastic. These are becoming more and more important for synthetic limbs for other things like the nose and ears, places that have been damaged as a result of an accident or physical damage by someone injuring someone else. We're getting to the point now where we can begin to change molecular structure of biologic materials so that we actually start to grow things in a petri dish, if you will, to try and do a replacement in a more of a big structure rather than having hopefully the body to repair itself. It helps in that, but we need to understand all the ramifications of doing this too. 3D printing has created a possibility of doing organ replacement, such as bones, ears, nose, and the like, in a way that either starts out with a structure along which we can grow material or actually do a replacement in a biologic-like material. This is a very exciting field. There's a lot that can be done because we have seen a lot of very painful and damaging injuries as a result of some of our war effort. And as a matter of fact, the government obviously would like to help these men as much and women as much as they can by giving them artificial processes or aiding by looking at ways of re-stimulating nerves and creating a potential for synthetic organs, including kidneys and livers. And we already have artificial hearts, but they're still very bulky, but technology is enabling us to move ahead with that. One of the most exciting areas that's now taking place is a government-funded effort to do what's called brain mapping. We've done a pretty good job at trying to understand the nerves and muscles and the like in our body, but the controlling function for all of these is the brain. And we just don't have we have now beginning to get some knowledge of what areas of the brain affect certain actions and emotions, but we really don't understand how it all functions together. So the government is sponsoring a plan and funding it to get universities and other medical institutions interested in providing a better map of what really happens within the brain. And it involves not just an electrical model, but a chemical model. And we have no way to link a chemical model and electrical model together, although the brain does a pretty good job of that because it involves both of those processes in our thoughts and our emotions and other activities that we find routine. And in fact, the learning process involves both actions. And so we need to do more about that. And to do that, they're using advanced MRI and other X-ray technologies to give us a better handle on the physical structure. Now we need to create some electric or electromechanical models to be able to link the various structures of the complex brain itself. We're able now to take from animals and insects, we can take slices of the brain so we can understand a little bit better on the interaction between the physical and the electronic or mechanical actions, but we don't have any way of really probing the chemical actions yet. We can watch electricity by moving around through MRIs and the like, but the chemical actions are very key, and we need to better understand those, and hopefully this funding will better help us to do this, especially in the emotional area. We have a lot of incidents lately where people have become emotionally distraught and end up involved with the deaths of other people, and we need to understand how we can control these as time goes along. And this means we'll probably have to come up with new kinds of probes and sensors and techniques for interacting between what's happening in the brain. And obviously we can't do that on people who are normal, but there are many cases where the brain has been damaged, and we can help those people recover by trying some of these more or less experimental techniques without really creating more damage. This involves the use of advanced surgical tools. Some of the advantages there are remote surgeries where a robotic arm under remote control through our wide area networks can actually help a surgeon perform surgery where he physically may not be present. Obviously, there'll be people around, but the main surgery is done now remotely. This also includes remote aids. How are we going to be able to help people in the home or in remote hospitals to be able to perform without having necessarily a physical presence there, but a robotic element that may be able to help those people get along. This also is the technology of mobile aids, of doctors being able to monitor people's health in their home, whether it's blood pressure or heart activity. And the advanced technology is getting to the point now where we even without a surgical implant, put sensors on people to monitor what's happening with their health. And in many cases, this would not necessarily require action by the person to make a 911 call, but a doctor could be alerted to the fact that an action is taking place that may require medical attention, and he could address that. This goes along with smartphones and smart pads, if you want to call that remote small-scale computers, although they're not really small in capacity, but being able to perform communications as needed between doctors and people, or between people and themselves with respect to what's going on in their areas. So it's a very exciting area with respect to medical technology, and we're going to see a lot taking place. And I think that most people will be interested in elements of that, and there are very good sources to try and find that, including the library and History Channel and some of the television programs and Internet capabilities are there to help understand those.
It sounds as though, I mean, it's pretty exciting what's taken place and what is going to continue to take place in the future. There's a lot of things now available. What do you see happening over the next 5 years that you think will really surprise people when it comes to medical technology?
Well, I wish it was that predictable. I think, but breakthroughs don't always come in a scheduled manner, and many offshoots that we haven't really thought of today may come as a result of people getting in divergent paths and coming across things that they really don't understand at the time, but then they can find applications before we fully understand them. So I think people just need to keep alert and be ready for things when they come, and so they're not totally surprised.
Excellent. Well, let's take a break now, because when we come back, I know we're going to move on to some other forms of technology within the business industry. I'm Lucy, and my guest today is Henry Halliday. We'll be back straight after the commercial break.
Hey, Kate, how's things with the new business?
Oh, hey, John. Thanks for asking. It's going really well. Hang on a minute. I just got to retweet something a new client just said.
You know, I just don't understand how you have so many followers, not to mention the likes on your Facebook page.
And I can't even get over the hits on my website, too. You know, everything's going great, but I'll tell you something, John. I'm not doing it alone. You want to know the answer?
Of course I do. I want a successful business like yours.
All Pro Media Group.
Huh?
It's a full-service marketing and PR company that assists businesses of all sizes. Basically, what they do is transform your business into a brand through their marketing and network connections. John, imagine having a personal campaign designed just for you and then being able to reach hundreds of thousands of potential clients and business professionals worldwide. Just go to allpromediagroup.com for more information, and you could be reaching the next level of success too.
Kate, you're the best.
No, I'm not. All Pro Media Group is. ATS Computers. They're a full-service technology company open since 1994, servicing commercial and residential clients. They strive on their reputation with the community. Their website is www.atscomptech.com, and their number is 631-474-4674. Where can you buy unique and beautiful gifts that will be remembered forever? What can you buy the friend who has everything? Well, it's simple, and it's only a click away. Just go to rageandeden.co.uk for a selection of worldwide Gothic and fantasy art from world-leading artists. Choose from the exquisite figurines, chic jewelry, amazing prints, or even one of the trendy t-shirts that are bound to make a statement wherever you go, even if it is just to the local supermarket. Visit rageandeden.co.uk. Every garden has a corner in the shade.
You're listening to APMG Radio with my special guest, Henry Halliday. So, Henry, we covered several fields involving technology. What about business industry?
Funny you should ask. Anyway, I think that we've focused a lot on personal issues with respect to technology, but business has taken advantage of technology in sort of a encompassing way. And the fact that digital communications through the airwaves, through hardwire, and through the way that computations are done has made business a changing structure. Using extremely high rate fiber optics in behind the machines to be able to allow machine-to-machine communication has changed the way we do business with respect to there's more and more networking now between businesses and machines where models are done, computations daily. And so businesses had to address whether they're going to have machine by each person to do the computations that are necessary, or in the case of the transition, which has now become almost passé, where they have a server in their own physical environment that services all the people, or do we go to what's called cloud computing? Cloud computing is a way of focusing a resource and putting many servers together, acting all at once, to be able to perform computations that it would be too expensive for each business to do. So they've got to address the issues on is cloud computing answer the questions with respect to security, compartmenting of the way that many businesses run, trying to keep different divisions separate, and thus it's been a challenge. There's opportunities there. We're still trying to understand all of the ramifications of doing what's called cloud computing, because it's just not simply moving the decision elsewhere. It's how do I keep things separate, that from a business sense that you want to, or technology or security-wise, can I keep these all separate? A lot of the ways of communicating are done through airwaves. A lot of it done over fibers buried in the earth. And there's also, for very close but very high data rate, we can actually radiate signals in frequencies that have heretofore not been addressed very well, but have very high capacity. So these sort of trades have to be made by the business as they go. We also have the issues of visualization. What do I mean by that? Well, being able to present data so that everyone can understand. Presentations are helped a lot by the kind of displays that we have, resolutions of LEDs and flexible displays are getting to the point where these make it more sense to be able to do a lot of graphic and visualization to make people understand what it is we're trying to accomplish in business or what our products are all about. So there's a lot of trade-offs that are coming in there. Is it something that we want to have higher resolution displays Is it something that specialized displays like Google Glass are a good answer? Where do they come in? And what about the use of three-dimensional displays? There's been a lot of controversy on whether they really add or not, and this will become something that we'll keep in mind as we go along. 3D printing has changed the way that businesses create prototypes of their products. And just recently, a full-scale titanium bike was made by 3D printing, not in the sense that we lay down ink, but in this case they use a laser and they sinter a powdered titanium to create parts. Why would this be important? Well, one is that titanium is a very strong material and lighter weight potentially than doing it in the conventional way, and they can also do this in a smaller scale and more cost effectively. But in all these areas where business communicate, encryption of the data is going to be important. How we provide security. What about video surveillance? We've talked about that in the past with respect to the home. It's also important in business so that they can convert the trade-off between personal privacy and company security. And along these ways, critical credit card issues are still not addressed very well in the United States. We've seen a lot of personal privacy being violated, but at the same time it costs businesses a large amount of money if their customers are compromised. So they're going to have to address this. Is the embedded chip, is a fingerprint scan, or what else is going to be done? And what technology can be applied to telephone or remote orders? That still seems to be a hole as far as I can see, even though you have cards that are point of transaction secure. What do you do about things which are not like done over the phone? You call a telephone order, give your credit card number. I think we're going to see smartphones and the like being able to help out in this respect of relaying personal security to a remote location. From a personnel standpoint, we've seen a lot of changes in businesses. The secretary has become an office assistant, which then became office software, plus the internet, plus Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and smartphones, taking the place of a lot of personnel at the front end of businesses. And we may see more in terms of robotic messengers and maybe errant personal robots to be able to help businesses perform more efficiently. So who's going to win between the PC, smartphone, SmartPad? All of these technologies are sort of in conflict but innate to each other. And it's a question, are we going to be able to see a single device, or will we always have multiple devices, which I think is going to happen? Because there's no one-fits-all, at least at the current technology rate. Eventually you may have that the computation becomes down to a molecular level, and there's no telling then what we'll see in terms of what devices in the next 20 or 30 years are going to look like. Go ahead.
Sorry, Henry. No, I just think it's, and I said this in the first part of the show, it's exciting to hear everything that is available right now. What has, especially within this area with regards to the business industry, what has amazed you most of all when it comes to the technology?
Well, I think there's so many exciting areas, it's hard to single out one. But I think that the applying technology to understanding the human being is maybe the most exciting area, and the area that we really haven't pursued in the past because it's so complex. But we now have the computing power. We now have some technology to help us ferret out what's happening within the human body, and especially focusing now on the brain, which is really the way we all communicate and try to get along, is going to be important. especially as we try to have more and more diverse areas trying to get along. We need to understand what is the process, how do we learn, how do we train, and are going to create some good opportunities for advancements and a lot of people be involved in technology.
Now, as we come to the end of the show, and we still have a few minutes left, I'd like to finish up on this aspect of business industry and the technology that is constantly evolving and developing. Do you have any final thoughts on this area?
No, not a set. Maybe the story here is that there isn't any one technology, that there's a marriage of technologies across the board involving personal, business, science, engineering, and each area can be focused on those things to help solve their problem, but at the same time keep your eyes open and don't be afraid to try new things, to learn new areas, so that you may be able to contribute yourself to how directions that technology advances.
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on this show, Henry. I want to thank you again. You've opened my eyes up to a lot of different aspects of technology that I didn't even know existed. So thank you. And how can people contact you with any questions?
They can email me at henryhalliday@earthlink.net, or they can go to my website and send me mail there. That's at henryhalliday.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Henry. Great having you on this afternoon.
It was my pleasure. Thank you much.
You've been listening to APMG Radio with my special guest, Henry Halliday. This show and many others can be found at allpromediagroup.com. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Lucy, and you've been listening to APMG Radio.
All Pro Media Group Radio showcases professionals on a daily basis. Be inspired and listen to experts from around the globe share their accomplishments with you. APMG Radio, success at its finest.